About to say something that I never thought I'd be saying in 2023. Child labor in the United States has increased almost 70% in the last 5 years, and more kids are working dangerous jobs as weaker labor laws keep getting passed in this country. That's according to a brand new report from the U.S. Department of Labor. Now, before I get into the numbers and what the heck is going on, I want to thank my TikTok subscribers for voting for this story as the bonus for this week. If you want to vote too, the only way you can do that is to subscribe to my page during my next live event. Also, if you want to know your rights in this country as a teenager when it comes to working conditions, or if you are a parent with a teenager and want to know what's legal for your kid in the workplace, I will email all the documentation out from the Labor Department in my Newsgirl News Roundup email on Monday. So make sure you sign yourself up. Okay, so let's talk about what the hell is going on. According to this new report from the Labor Department, in the last 10 months, federal regulators have found almost 4,500 children working in violation of federal child labor laws. That's a 44% increase from the year earlier and a nearly 70% increase in cases between 2018 and 2022. Some of the children were operating dangerous machinery like manual deep fryers and meat processing equipment, and others were working more hours than legally permitted. The companies employing these kids were hit with $6.6 million in penalties from the federal government, and as of today, there are 700 additional child labor cases the government is looking into across the country. Now, some of these kids are teenagers, work in fast food jobs, and others are migrant children who came across the border with no adult who are working in construction and housekeeping. But regardless, the Labor Department says they found these kids working in several states in just the last 10 months. 62 McDonald's locations in Kentucky, Indiana, Maryland, and Ohio were fined because they had employed 305 children who were all working too many hours and working dangerous jobs. 16 McDonald's franchises in Louisiana and Texas employed 83 minors who were in violation of child labor laws. In Minnesota, a snack manufacturer was producing goods by using illegal child labor, and 6 Nevada Sonic drive-in locations illegally employed 14 and 15-year-olds who were working more hours than they should and at times not permitted by federal child labor laws. They were also operating manual deep fryers, which is illegal for anyone under the age of 16. So you may be wondering, how young can you be to work in the United States? Good question. Well, according to the U.S. labor laws, it depends really on what industry you're talking about. For example, kids as young as 12 can work outside of school hours in any non-hazardous job on a small farm as long as the child has parental consent. And kids under the age of 14 are legally allowed to deliver newspapers, babysit, work as an actor, or work for a business owned by their parents as long as the job is not hazardous. But when you think about like a traditional summer job outside of the agriculture industry, your kid has to be 14 or 15 years old, and there are a bunch of rules for how many hours they can work, the specific times of day they can work, and what specific jobs they can and cannot perform. Lawmakers in Washington, D.C. from both parties have introduced bills to increase civil penalties for child labor violations, but these efforts, of course, have stalled because of what else? The partisan gridlock in Washington. At the same time, almost a dozen states have started to loosen their child labor laws. So like I said, if you want to know your rights about when kids can work and when they cannot work, I will email all of that out to you in my Newsgirl News Roundup email on Monday.